On Dragon Age Day, BioWare revealed a teaser trailer to their next game, Dragon Age Dreadwolf, and announced that the next entry in their fantasy RPG franchise will be fully unveiled in the summer of 2024. As a longtime fan of the series, I'd been itching for news on the game for quite a while, and though I was hoping for something more than an appetizer, it's good to know that a full reveal is on the horizon. Plenty of other YouTubers have done a great job breaking down the trailer and speculating about what all of it might mean, so I thought I'd add to the conversation by talking about all the things I'm looking forward to in Dragon Age Dreadwolf. First off, I'm really looking forward to the potential return of the Origins mechanic. I'm kind of old. Well, I'm getting old anyway, so my entry point to the Dragon Age universe was Dragon Age Origins. Naturally, I'm a huge fan of that game's origin feature, which allows you to go through a playable backstory for your Grey Warden character. I've been playing role-playing games for a long time, and I have to say that there's not one player character I've created that I've been more attached to than my hero of Ferelden, and I think that the Origins mechanic has a lot to do with that bond. Many folks have speculated about the Origins mechanic returning for Dreadwolf, and honestly, I think it would make a lot of sense. The previous two Dragon Age games took us to new places, but were grounded in the familiar. Dragon Age 2 started out in the outskirts of Lothering. Inquisition picked up at the Temple of Sacred Ashes. But Dragon Age Dreadwolf is setting us to a completely different part of Thedas, where the culture is not at all what we're accustomed to. Sure, we've read about countries like Antiva and Ravain in Tevinter Nights, and we've heard about the Imperium from Dorian, but that's nothing compared to actually experiencing all these locations for the first time in a game. It's also been 10 years since Inquisition, and during that time, all of us have changed and grown. And surely Thedas has too. So from a role-playing perspective, the return of Origins would be a great way to re-immerse ourselves in BioWare's wonderful fantasy world. But even if the Origins mechanic doesn't return, I'm still excited to see all these new nations. I love Ferelden as much as the next guy, but we've spent a lot of time there, in its woodlands, crowded streets, and rain-soaked coasts. It'd be nice to explore somewhere different for a change, like some of the mind-blowing places described in Tevinter Nights. Speaking of Tevinter Nights, one thing I'm really excited for is a follow-up on the revelations described in the short story Horror of Hormak. There were so many great short stories in that collection, but Hormak was my absolute favorite. Written by John Epler, the atmosphere in the story is top-notch, and from a lore perspective, it's really groundbreaking. It explains why the Darkspawn of Origins looks so much different than their counterparts from the other games. It mentions a different color of lyrium, and sets up Gillinan as a major antagonist moving forward. The descriptions of the twisted creatures she's created, and the fact that there remain 11 other mountains with pools like the one found by Ramesh, really creep me out, and have me looking forward to finding out more about what appears to be yet another dangerous member of the Evan Urus. As for the Evan Urus, I can't wait to see what Solas' plan is for them. Based on everything we're seeing, it seems pretty clear that the Veil is not for long, meaning that the evil elven gods will be back in Thedas wreaking havoc before we know it. While he might capture some of the Evan Urus, no doubt others will escape. I wouldn't be surprised if this happens at the end of the first act, or the middle of the game, forcing us to determine how we will approach the Dreadwolf moving forward. While we're on the topic of our approach to the Dreadwolf, at the end of Trespasser, our Inquisitor was given a choice about whether to plan to stop him or to say that they're going to try and redeem him. I'll be curious to see how this plays out in the game. Though we'll obviously be playing a new character, it sure sounds like our Inquisitor is going to have a role to some degree, much like Hawke did in Inquisition. Will we be working for our Inquisitor? Will we be allied with them? And if so, will our decision at the end of Trespasser factor in to how all of this plays out? It's hard to say, but either way, seeing our Inquisitor back in Thedas will be really cool. I love the way they reintroduced Hawke, allowing us to recreate them in the game's engine and all that, and I look forward to doing that again with my Inquisitor. Though our Inquisitor's discoveries about the ancient elves are taking center stage right now, I'm stoked to follow up on the leads post in the Descent DLC, where we confirmed the existence of a Titan. Dwarven lore has gone somewhat untouched since Origins, so it was really cool to get something on that end. And as positive an influence as the Titan we encountered appeared to be, I have to say, I got major Legacy vibes from that DLC. As in, that it was setting up a major antagonist for the future. There's no way that the Titans are as benevolent as they seem, and if you've read Novalessa's convincing theories over on Reddit, the ones destroyed by the Evan Urus might be behind the Blight. Either way, after several games where the elves have received top billing in the lore, it's fun to think about the possibility that it might be the dwarves, and a potential dwarven lore villain who steals some spotlight in this one. And to wrap things up, I'm just excited to get back into a new entry in the world of Dragon Age. This community has spent the better part of the last 10 years theorizing, speculating, and clinging to every scrap of information we could find in anticipation for the game that would eventually become Dragon Age Dreadwolf. Much like fans of A Song of Ice and Fire, we're ravenous and have analyzed everything BioWare has given us to the point where the fan theories are looking pretty legit. And I can't wait to step into the shoes of a new protagonist and find out which ones are true. But unfortunately, there are a few things I am concerned about with Dragon Age Dreadwolf, so I hope you'll join me next time as we take a fair and honest look at this upcoming game. See you guys then.